show. On Saturdays and Sundays, check every inch of the web to find the latest episodes. The boys are everywhere, and no matter what anyone may try, they are here to stay. If the name hasn't warned you yet, then consider this as your viewer discretion advised. No one can restrain these two idiots, so here they come unleashed upon the world, only to become as insane as reality itself.
And ladies and gentlemen, Christopher is actually here for this one.
Yes. Well, look, I wasn't invited to the special reunion of the alien wives. You know, I didn't want to come to that kind of thing.
You're the one that was wondering whether or not you actually had a penis.
Look, let me get this straight. I don't know what type of alien I'm, right, or what I was in a previous existence, right? But I was obviously the most handsomest, you know, and that's why they chose me. They chose me because they looked at me and they thought, God, we'll send him. He's the best.
Well, you know, I've always wondered about that for like the genuine starseed situation where we go into these stasis pods. Is that technically, wouldn't it be more of a concurrent existence, being that once this body dies, we go back to that other body?
I'm hoping
not exactly a previous life, if that's the case.
I'm personally hoping that I get put somewhere really quiet where there's nobody about.
Solitary confinement.
Luck, I'll wake up and there'll be loads of people wanting to talk to me, and I'll be like, no! Like that. My worst fear is waking up in a pod and then the pod door opening and there's all these children about me and they all belong to me, and I'll be like, no.
Well, like I've told you before, if the little theory about what species you actually were is true, they're sometimes known as the galactic babysitters.
Yes. And why do you think I'm here?
Hey,
that's what it is. You've answered that. You've answered that.
No,
they're here to babysit you.
No, genuinely, they are technically considered intergalactic babysitters, but chances are if you go back and the situation's not settled, you have a lot bigger problems on your hands.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I know things.
But what things?
You try to act like you're the one that's being told secrets of the universe. You know?
I get told secrets of the universe all the time, but if I tell him, it will cause problems. So I don't tell him that.
No. Well, the problems
are. That's for the CIA. It's listening there.
The problems are dead and gone now. So
I wouldn't say that. There's technology and stuff like that.
Well, yeah.
Love to get their hands on.
Well, the governments of the world, yeah, it's pretty obvious that they're scrambling. I mean, I know that you were kind of nervous about the talk about the child trafficking episode, so I did that one by myself.
No, I wasn't nervous about it. No, I will say this. Pardon me, that's that Dr. Pepper that I've been drinking. I wasn't nervous about it. It's just a very interesting subject, and it's a very complex and dangerous one. Yes, if you bring in Hollywood and all
the royal family,
the royal family, Hollywood.
It's like, didn't the Queen shut down the human trafficking investigation that was going on with the royals?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, what the hell does this have to do with tonight's episode? Well, Christopher actually had a good idea, and we got to give him applause because they're so damn rare.
Well, look, sometimes I like to use my superior intellect. Sometimes I'm allowed to use it, you know. Come on, guys.
So,
galactic babysitter, you know.
That's back to what we were saying. Christopher had an idea, and it's something that we haven't necessarily gone over on this show. It's George Orwell's 1984. And how anybody who actually bothers to read a fucking book nowadays has noticed that there's an awful lot of shit in that book that it's not that it has come true, but that it already did.
Look, I'm going to tell for the people out there that don't listen to this kind of stuff. There's the movie George Orwell 1984. There's two of them. One made in 1958, the other made in 1990s. there's audio books, and there's normal books. These are things that are made from paper, and you open them up and you look at them. Right, soon to be extinct forever.
I
You
know.
know. But you got to admit it, Dakota. It's coming true. You
Oh,
got to admit what he's been talking about.
Like I
It's coming
said, it
true.
was like so far, it's the only thing in that book that, if it is supposed to be some kind of warning to the future, the only thing that they really got wrong is the year.
Right.
Hence why this episode is titled 1984 or 2024.
Aye. Let's talk about this, right? And obviously, we can't mention certain things that are going on in the world, right? We can't mention, we can call them certain names, like the thing in the arm, everybody go. And
Oh, did you see the update about that?
what you mean that it's been
They're
banned
coming
in
out.
multiple states?
Well, my state's actually trying to pass a law that bans mRNA vaccines.
Yeah.
Which is how most vaccinations actually fucking work. But no, about COVID-19, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna fucking say it. Several agencies are coming to the same conclusion that the COVID-19 pandemic was caused by a leak from a lab in China.
But look, I'm going. This ties in with George Orwell 1984, right?
Exactly.
In the movie, you've got Eurasia and all that. It's different. There's been nuclear wars. That's like at the start, 1984. It starts off with like fighting the Germans and the Japanese, and everything is a beautiful paradise after that, right? Basically, after the one, and then we go to war with Russia. We have a nuclear war, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you've got Eurasia and you've got the other kind of parts of the map, and they're always fighting. They're always fighting them, right? This is Britain we're talking about here. Is always fighting, like say North Korea, always. That's it. Never ends. There's air raid sirens all the time, right? Bombs going off. Now, in George Orwell 1984, and if you've watched the film or read the book, in every house there's a TV screen.
Mm-hmm.
In every room there's a TV screen. Right.
Getting pretty close to that these days.
Yep. Now I'm going to bring up the similarities here. That TV screen is always listening to you and is always watching you. Right. What's this piece of technology here that I've got in my phone right now?
Technically, it's just a small computer screen.
Yep, Technica, and it's always listening, it's always watching. People say, oh, it doesn't watch and it doesn't listen. But yes, it does. Have you ever noticed when you go to buy something or think about buying something, you'll talk to your friend, you say, do you know something? I need to buy a new lawnmower. And I've done this experiment once, and yes, it's true. I don't know if you've ever tried this.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a conversation next to your phone for, say, a day straight. Just mention it all the time. Don't type it in. Just mention it all the time. I can bet you $1 billion you'll turn on your phone or your laptop, and there'll be an advert for a lawnmower.
Chris, you do realize how that shit actually works, right?
It's
no, the artificial intelligence programs that are put together in order to best acclimate the marketers that are utilizing these services. What they do is that there's almost like, you can almost think of it like the AIs from out of the Halo games, right?
Yeah.
Each one has their own little personality. They're like AI clones based on things you do online. And they gauge conversations that are likely to take place. And whistleblowers have come out saying that these things are like 99% accurate.
Yeah.
That's why those conversations take place. I mean, hell, there's been conversations we've had on this show. There'd be adverts for it within 24 hours start popping up.
Yes. Then this is what I'm getting to. Google, Facebook, Amazon, all the ones it's out there. I mean, I've got one of the Amazon thingies came up, I mean, that talks to you and stuff like that. It's listening to you all the time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's listening to you. You can get into Google and delete your data, which I've done a couple of times. It's the same as Siri on my phone, right? Now, the thing with this is, it's coming true what he said, George Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me jump forward a wee bit. You ever heard of the new 15-minute cities?
Yeah, you keep going on about it lately.
Right, 15-minute cities. This is what they're wanting to do. They're wanting 15-minute cities. You don't have a car. Everything you need is in that 15 minutes, right? So everything was in a cycle ride or a walk within 15 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say you go out of that zone, right? You just walk out of that zone. They're wanting to bring in digital banking. You know what I'm talking about with the digital banking? I
Yep.
think it's called CBD or CBDDC or something like that. And they control everything, right? So say there's another pandemic. Right? And they say it's a new virus. And they go and they've brought this bank thing. Everybody's in this digital banking system, right? Say you decide, do you know something? I fancy going a drive today, 100 miles, right? So you drive that 100 miles, right? As soon as you drive out your zone, you're fined,
Mm-hmm.
right? You go to use your bank card to buy fuel or anything without that zone will not work,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is how they control you. This is why it shouldn't be allowed and it can't be allowed to happen. Because if this happens, they can basically say, "Oh, you've had too much chocolate this week," because they know exactly what you're buying.
Mm-hmm.
They know exactly how much fuel you're buying. They know exactly what you're buying.
Mm-hmm.
So they can basically say, "Oh, you've travelled outside the 15-minute zone twice this week. That's it. You're not allowed back out again. You've used all your emissions points up." Right? See where I'm going with this? It's
Mm-hmm.
called control, right? And they start controlling you, and then another pandemic comes along, right? And they'll be like, you can't travel out within the 15-minute zone because of lockdowns, right? You can still travel out if you want, if you can get past the gates, that is, and the security cameras without being fined, right? But see, your bank card or whatever you use to pay me will not work. Will not work. Everything new, guys, is getting ridiculous. Everything, this world, everything is just a farce. And you can tell that I don't think we have actually long, Dakota, before all this is implemented. And I mean, it's meant to be by 2025. What's that, 2 years?
Yeah. It's supposed to be by the year 2025. There's supposed to be a lot that's supposed to come down. I mean, false flag, alien invasion, these 15-minute cities, New World Order, the whole shebang. It's supposed to be. We're
Look,
supposed to start seeing the first stages of the full-on implementation later this year.
I think it now is it. What's that thing that was held with George Soros and all that? It was near Switzerland. Was it the World Economics Forum? It was the World
Yes,
Economics Forum, right?
yes.
Did you see what the military are planning?
What was that, Chris?
Oh, what was that indeed? They want the population of the Earth to
Oh, yeah.
be half the population to be gone by 2025.
Yeah, the fucking
Now, there's only
Thanos was right. Shit.
right. There's only two ways to do that. There's only two ways to do that. It's called war, with what's happening in the now, using certain weapons, or just throwing bodies into a never-ending meat grinder. Really, what they're doing right now. Or there's another pandemic. And I don't know what's coming. I don't know if it's got to be another pandemic, which it could be. But find it very, very suspicious. And it's the same with that Bill Gates. He's planned. I mean, it's ridiculous because the first pandemic, and I'm just going to come right out and say this: the first pandemic was predicted by him. About 6 months before that happened, he had a simulation.
Mm-hmm.
A pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this will probably get a strike, guys. This video will probably get a strike for this on YouTube. They're greatest. They'll want the video taken down because, but it's going out all different platforms. That's why it's going out the podcasts and stuff like that. But people have to stand up to this, and people have to start talking about this because you look at World War II and look at the Nazis. Right? Can you imagine if they had won the war? Right? Would you know about what they did?
Here's the thing when it comes to situations like that. Look how easy. I'm just going to take a little example here. Look how easy it is to see all these younger people start trying to instigate fights on social media, be it a celebrity
Yeah.
or 99% of the BS that comes out of this so-called paranormal community. How easy for a little shit like that to stir up. There's a little experiment that was done, and I promise there's a point to this, where they put a group of monkeys in an enclosure. They set some bananas at the top of a ladder. Now, if one of the monkeys obviously goes to try to get the bananas, it sets off a sprinkler system, which the monkeys don't like.
Yeah.
So, one of the monkeys climbs up, tries to get the banana, sets off the sprinkler system. The rest of the monkeys beat the living crap out of it.
Yeah.
They take that monkey out, put new monkeys in that were not conditioned to the same thing. Eventually, without any sprinklers going off, any monkeys that attempted to even go up that ladder were attacked. Even though the sprinklers, it was a completely new set of monkeys, some old ones still in there. It's not that hard to condition people to where they would try to come up with any and every excuse to deem genocide as a necessary means.
Right. Look, and people are going to be like, "Oh, you'll destroy your career if you complain." Look, I'm not gonna flying buck about my career, right? And this is the honest truth. I want to be in the side of history that remembers me for speaking out. Right? Do you, whoever's want sides with the system, and sides with the system that says, "Oh yes, you should get the," "Oh yes, you should do this," "Oh you should do what they say," "You should do what they say," right? Do you want to be remembered in history as a cult operator?
Well, you know what? Fuck it. Let's say it. The jab. Isn't it awfully funny that now there's been enough cases to come out for health authorities to launch a proper investigation into the number of people who went down with heart-related issues after getting the COVID-19 vaccine?
Exactly.
I mean, there was a video. It was a live stream that I did on TikTok that I posted on my YouTube channel that got flagged for COVID-19 misinformation. All I said was that I was talking about how last year how my grandma, she went down with a heart attack. It got very serious. I mean, she got hit in what's known as the Widowmaker. So
that's true.
I got flagged because I mentioned that we thought it was awfully funny that several other people who got the vaccine right about the same time she did.
Yeah.
And I've even talked with some friends of mine, and after we all adjusted, for time zones and all that, they all went. We know of at least, almost 30 people within a 2-hour time frame all happen to be taken to the hospital for heart-related issues.
Yeah.
And they all got the vaccine right about the same time.
And I'm going to say this to you, if this video or this channel gets taken down, guys, we'll just start another video. We'll just start another.
We're on Rumble, we're on Amazon Music, iTunes.
I
if
just
all
don't
of this
want
gets
to,
taken down,
yeah,
we piss somebody off.
I mean, right. Let's put it this way, right? I don't want to be remembered in history as he stood by and let it happen, right? There's people out there that praised the taking the utter piss out of me, because I'm going to say this now, because there's folk that think I've got that I'm unvaccinated. I've never had it. And I can remember when everybody was getting it. They all called me every name under the sun. Everyone said I was terrible because I stayed with my family and stuff like that. And oh, you're terrible this, you're terrible that. Who's the terrible one now when everybody's dropping down dead? See what I'm saying?
You know,
And-
just
and
kind of go.
Oh, can I just finish? I'm just saying it's. I mean, I said to them now. I says, well, what do you think? I mean, you take the piss at me and stuff like that, and do you know they'll not even answer me. They'll not answer me because they kind of was fucking right.
You know, I'm gonna bring up a situation because I'm unvaccinated too. I worked nights, so I could pretty much get away with it. You know, I'll admit, I ran on the fact that O negative blood seemed to be less likely to be infected. Maybe I got hit with it at some point and it just didn't hit me as hard. I got lucky. And I'll say this. I also firmly believe that if this situation was truly bad as people were making it out to be, don't waste your resources on me. Get it to the elderly. Get it to these young kids, you know, younger kids who had issues with like RSV. Focus on them, not somebody who has a likely chance to fight it back. And I mean, just to kind of go back to the social acceptance thing.
Yeah.
Let's look at how many fucking cases of domestic violence, sexual abuse that are swept under the rug just by everyday families because they don't want to admit that something is wrong. And the second that somebody actually goes to speak out and actually does the right thing, I mean, this happened to me. There was a whole fight that blew out because I had to deal with some family members who did not want me to come forward, that I was suspecting that some sort of abuse was coming forward. And now that we actually know, and it was actually a hell of a lot worse, they won't acknowledge it.
I'm just going to say this, people. What's this sort of day with George Orwell in 1984? It's called conditioning, people. It's called conditioning. Pandemic, right? Stay inside. Don't go outside. Do what you're told, right? For 2 years, we did that. We did everything for them, right? We stayed inside. Well, some of us didn't actually, but you get what I mean? Some people just flaunted it. Like one of my prime minister, he was like having parties every night and stuff like that. Does that not make you think something that was up, you know? But look, it's conditioning. George Orwell, they conditioned you. They conditioned you to behave and to follow their rules. See if the 15-minute cities come in and see if the digital banks come in. We're fucked. Totally. And a lot of people don't realize this. Have you ever seen the Hunger Games, Dakota?
Bits and pieces, yeah.
Right, you've got the different districts, right? That's what they want to do. They want to chop Britain up into different districts. And they're wanting to do that to the United States. Did you know in China right now, they're actually running that digital banking system. And people in China have went to buy certain products, and they've been, I'm sorry, you can't buy this product. You had 2 of them last week. Yeah. And you got to remember there's cameras everywhere now too, watching you. And there'll be people out there, oh, I don't do online banking and I don't do online shopping and stuff like that. But they still know who you are because you've walked down a main street. If you own a car, they know who you are. Everything's full ID now.
I was about to say, don't they say average person just going about their daily routine in London gets photographed almost, 2,000, 3,000 times a day?
Yeah.
Just going about their regular routine.
Yeah. Yeah. I can guarantee you this video won't get flagged and get took down. That's why the podcast listeners out there, if you're listening, please share this podcast with everybody. Share the links out with everybody. And wake up, people. Please wake up before it's too late, before the tyranny destroys us, you know? I mean, you see, my country is one of the most expensive countries to live in right now.
Very true.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Do you know there's a thing happening in the UK? This is ridiculous, right? There's no fruit and vegetables, right?
Really?
There's no fruit. right? And they say it's but what this is a cracker. They say it's because of global warming, and Spain and Portugal, where it's all grown and planted, in France and that, they don't have any, so they can't sell it to people. So there's no fruit and veg. Well, that's a lie, of course, because in Europe and France and these places, there's tons and tons and tons of vegetables, right? They're no bringing them in. It's conditioning people. It's conditioning you. The British government won't let that happen.
I mean,
It's mad.
let's jump over here to the U.S. How many farms have come forward saying that, they've had federal authorities come to them saying, you need to destroy all this crop? It's perfectly good crop. It's not like it was infested with anything, nothing like that. Let's go to these number of homes that have received waivers from chemical companies that have been monitoring the situation in East Palestine in Ohio.
Yeah.
Basically saying you cannot sue us for damages if the chemicals were
they've been giving people $1,000 to sign a thing.
No, they're trying to pay people off. There's that little people who actually dared to read the fine print, saying they realize it's saying, you can't sue. You won't sue us if damage comes to your home or property. How many people that don't bother to actually read already signed that shit?
A lot.
Probably. And they're coming out, the company that's running it was asked by news media, was like, that wasn't, we didn't mean to send that one. What?
Look, I'm going to say this again. See that train? That one train derailment. It wasn't one derailment. It wasn't 2. It wasn't 3. It was 4. There was about 5 train derailments in the space of 3 days in the United States. There's oil refineries are bursting into flames all over the world, especially in NATO countries, may I add. They're all NATO countries, which don't you find very, but suspicious. And I do believe that it is sabotage. I do believe
the Nord Stream oil line.
Yeah, the Nord Stream.
Everybody was trying to say it was the Russians that blew it up, but no, they found out there was the U.S. and UK trying to sabotage peace movements to try to end this shit in the Ukraine.
I know. It's absolutely shocking. And I'm no standing by this. And I see them on Facebook and that. I know people on Facebook and all that support all this and that. And they're all doing it. They're becoming famous through it and all that kind of stuff. And so what if you're famous or you're not famous? You need to stand up for what you believe in. Yeah, I mean, here's an interesting thing. See where that train derailed? Did you know there's a factory nearby where they were servicing and fixing tanks that was going to Ukraine?
Mm-hmm.
You don't find that suspicious? There was stuff that was used on that at that plant.
Kind of going back to the little legal clause. A lot of the moment that's getting pushed right now, and maybe there's some truth to it, is Trump pulling back OSHA guidelines to the lowest point that they have been in years. And that's why they're saying, people got too relaxed with these less restrictive guidelines. That's what's causing these train derailments. Okay. What about the pipe bombs that have been found near these tracks? Why is it that they're trying to suppress people that want to get their homes getting fixed because they are being poisoned by the shit that's getting spilled out?
I mean,
why are they suppressing that if that was just people got lazy because of Trump? Come on.
They blame Trump for everything. I'm surprised they're not blaming Trump for global warming. Right?
I mean,
the quicker he's back, the better.
We'll see how that turns out. I mean, I watched Elena's webinar last night, and she made a very good point. Anytime someone came forward who threatened the status quo severely, members of the media started completely trashing them. Why the fuck would the Senate here in the U.S. start bugging out after Elon Musk wants to went to buy Twitter to make it more freedom of speech? It's a social media platform. Yeah, I get it. There's some really shady shit that gets tossed around by some truly disgusting and diabolical people. And there's
Yeah.
why a lot of these implementations are allowed to go into in the first place. But nevertheless, why?
Aye, but
I mean, Marilyn Monroe, Bob
Okay.
Marley,
Yeah.
Gandhi, Martin
Mm.
Luther King Jr.,
Yeah.
they were all investigated by the federal authorities because they were able to gather so many people.
Look what happened to them all.
Exactly.
And people will ask me, "Oh, why did you do this video talking about this stuff?" Because I'm going to say it again. I don't want to be seen in the side of history where I was a collaborator and I supported their cause. Because believe me, people, yes, they might get power, and it probably will happen. At the rise of Big Brother, as one would say, eventually that will collapse. Eventually, give it a couple of 100 years, it will happen, right? Eventually, it will collapse. And then they'll look back in time and they'll find these videos and they'll be like, the two guys, they stood up for what they believe in, right? Where the rest of yous that believe Big Brother will be tagged as, oh, they're sympathizers to their cause.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Look, I get really annoyed. And the reason I wanted to do this 1984 is because I don't know how long we've actually got left. Because see, this World War III thing, it's actually getting quite bad now. I mean, it's severely bad. We are we're 90 seconds to midnight in the what do you call it, doomsday clock, right?
90 seconds. I thought it
We
was
are.
closer
Do you
than
think
that.
it's worse than the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Mm-hmm.
The UK is going to be running an emergency alert system throughout the entire internet, and I think in a couple of weeks' time to tell everybody this is a test for nuclear war.
You know, they also start. Speaking of which, I find it kind of funny that the Russians also allegedly put out that their new Poseidon missiles.
Yeah.
They put out demonstrations trying to show how bad what they intend to do with these things.
Yeah.
It started in nuclear tsunami because these are nuclear warheads practically.
Yeah.
That would wipe out the entirety of the UK. So if all of
Yeah.
a sudden you see Chris's screen look like a fish tank, I'm going to be looking for a new co-host.
Well, let me tell you this, Tay, right? The state of the UK, the news is diabolical, right? The UK is falling apart. We're on the brink of civil war because the things are just getting ridiculous. The price of electricity is ridiculous. I know people are paying £400 a week for electricity.
So what now?
Aye.
Some bitch.
400 a week. And they've got quite big houses like, but look, you know the price of gas out here. Imagine paying what, a gallon of gas over it's £1.50 a litre, 4.5 litres. It's something like £7 or £8 for a gallon. Was that $10 a gallon? Would you like to pay $10 a gallon here?
Aye.
Right? They're putting the tax up. Our government don't give a flying fuck about its people. And I'm sorry for my swearing, but that's the honest truth. They do not care about their own people. They're just lining their own pockets. My Prime Minister's corrupt, because he's got other intentions. Do you understand? And this is what I feel. I feel that the UK is on the brink of getting sacrificed. I mean, think about it. And I'm going to say this. I don't think Putin would use nuclear weapons, guys. I don't think he's mad enough. But you know what I do believe? I do believe there'd be a false flag and they would nuke their own people.
Like I said, we got to talking about it on the show shortly after it happened. The Nord Stream incident. Everybody was trying to say, "Oh, it was the Russians. Oh, it's the Chinese." I was like,
No, it wasn't.
"No, they're actively trying to stop this situation because, I mean, I'll say it again. You notice that there's a lot of there's still people that are trying to say, oh, we should help the people of Ukraine. And yeah, maybe send charities that actually help the people because there's shit happening behind the scenes that we, the people, are oblivious to.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if you knew this, Dakota, but our last Prime Minister, one before this one, she was a woman. I'm not going to mention her name because she was there for about 6 weeks or something. 5 minutes after the Nord Stream blew up, right? She sent a message. She sent an unsecure phone. This is how we know this. An unsecure phone to some American guy in the White House, right? I'm not even going to mention his name. You know what I'm talking about. He gets lost quite a lot. He sent him a message saying it's done 5 minutes later. Well done. Don't you feel like you're on the bad side, don't you, Dakota? Do you not feel like you're on the bad side? I mean, in World War II, Britain and America were working together to fight evil, right? The Nazis, because let's face it, they were fucking evil, right? But I feel like I'm on the wrong side. I feel like I'm on
Here's
the
the
wrong
thing.
side.
Here's the thing, and we already know this is as if what's happening right now. Because we want the fancier toys and all that. And let's face it, for quite some time during the Second World War, the Germans were kicking our ass.
Oh, yeah,
They had
were.
sophisticated aircraft. That, I mean, the stories that some of the soldiers tell about the things they've seen, it's nightmare fuel. And I mean, obviously, you can get where a lot of the stuff that got put into like the fucking Wolfenstein games came out. But we know for a fact that a lot of the same evil bastards came over through Project Paperclip and are the reason behind, say, like the US, the UK, Australia's, Canada's most significant advancements.
Mhm.
The evil bastards didn't go away.
What's
We
his name that built
integrate
the
them.
Apollo rockets? What's his name? The Nazi.
Bob Braun, wasn't it?
Von Braun, right. You got to remember Von Braun, and he's
He
convinced
didn't build them. He was the architect that designed them. But there were several people that
Do
were
you know how many
enslaved
Jews
in the
died under
constant.
his hand?
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. He may have been the architect, but he had slave labor.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly. Look, guys, I mean, I'll tell you something to do. This video's going to get
I know, right?
Just you're going to get done. GDO, everybody!
I've been giving my sister shit because she's my younger sister. I'm allowed, one, but two, my family, we kind of entered 2023 with some fairly serious car issues that we're still working through right now. As a matter of fact, and I keep trying to tell my sister, for the love of God, be careful when you're fucking driving, because I've seen her. She killed a vehicle by driving 100 miles an hour in first gear.
I did that once, and it was a go-kart. It was an off-road go-kart. See, when it was like I went for 1/4 mile and back again, and first I didn't realize. I just thought it was an automatic, and it was a go-kart. You should have seen the exhaust. Nope. It was glowing.
No, it was an automatic. It was and the part that pissed me off was that she borrowed a woman's van who happens to be the mom of one of her friends from school. So that's how they knew each other, to go see a guy that lived about 3-hour drive from here. That was, he didn't live there. He was staying. This woman lived in a homeless shelter. And she killed the vehicle, blew out the transmission.
That's God. I'm going to ask you what happened about that and that after the show, but that's
I don't know.
Oh God!
I think my sister managed to work up the money to pay her back to help with getting a new vehicle, because that was just a cheaper route. But
I mean,
but I was gonna say what I was initially meaning is, like, if you happen to hear Dakota all of a sudden going down under mysterious circumstances, you know why.
If we disappear and we're no back again, it's one of two things: the aliens have took us back into space, or the CIA or NSA have ended us.
You know, that kind of reminds me of something, and this actually came from somebody who we should probably get back on the show one day. Cassius.
Yeah.
He went through kind of I believe it was actually a heritage trip through Jamaica, and he actually went through Bob Marley's house.
Right.
And Bob Marley used to say that, oh, they've been trying to kill me for years. My mission's not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why all these attempts failed. And I don't know, maybe there's similar protections that's allowing us to be able to say this, because I have got to admit, I am shocked we have not had any technical difficulties with this, with everything we're talking about.
It's going to come true. And it's like what I said to somebody the other day there. We can't stop it unless we all stand together. But you're going to get the people there. You're going to get the people on Facebook that stand with the government, and they're going to be good little sheepy mays, and they're going to do what the government tell them for little rewards. Oh, we'll make you famous.
What was it?
We'll give you this. We'll give
yeah.
you that.
Oh yeah. Oh, what was it? What was his name? Someone brought to my attention that there was an experiment done on monkeys, right? You know, we always hear a lot of, Elena brings it up a lot in her stuff, that a lot of the trolls are being manipulated to basically talk shit. And people are like, okay, how the hell is that possible? And I'll admit there's certain, and I'm not saying this to be mean, I'm just saying you really be careful about how much of a religious devotion you have to even what we're saying right now. There's a certain doctor who became the front man for the MK Ultra programs, right?
Yes.
He was well known for figuring out how to stimulate parts of a monkey's brain to automatically switch its mood like that.
Yeah.
And it does not take much, and it is actually widely believed that deep state programs have wireless technology that can hack the human brain from several miles away,
yeah,
to induce fits of rage.
Yes.
And this stuff actually exists. You can find the patents for it.
Yeah.
And like I said, we talked about this on several times before on the show. In order for the patent to go through, you have to prove a working model.
Yeah. Hey, Dakota, I bet you've got some black SUVs following you tomorrow.
Well, the official explanation for why those black SUVs happen to be about in my area, mind you, there is a bombing range about 30 minutes from me.
Yeah.
And they have been looking for potential drones. Ironically, they say this right before all the balloons come out.
I will say this, guys, and see the amount of people that have messaged me. And Dakota, I'm going to let you explain this one once I tell you. I've maybe about 15 people have reached out to me saying, what do you think of this? Is it an alien invasion? Dakota, please do tell.
First off, one of the balloons was a $12 science fair project.
Yeah.
Secondly, a lot of the reason why, yes, it was some kind of spy balloon. Maybe it got away, but here's the thing. With radar systems, they have to be careful about what parameters they put in for the system to look for, because birds can get picked up on these things, right? And they don't want to be launching a fucking missile strike every time a flock of seagulls happens to be passing over, right?
Yeah.
I'm just, hey, you got to remember, go back not too long ago, the whole reason why we haven't got into nuclear war was because someone on the Russian side had a little voice in his head say, wait, something's not right about these incoming missile alerts.
Hi, they're going extremely slow.
Now, because of the initial balloon, this is what the initial explanation is coming as. they shortened their parameters to start looking for more potential spy balloons. Now, granted, if these were in fact extraterrestrial in nature, they would not be able to come to. Something had to be seriously wrong with the craft if a fucking F-22 was able to shoot it down with a missile.
That's kind of like Star Trek. They've travelled across the galaxy through orc fields of boulders floating in space, explosions of the suns. They've been in intergalactic battles, and then they land on Earth to be killed by a stray missile.
Yeah, it's also kind of. Let's go into a couple alien invasion movies, like War of the Worlds as an example, where the whole reason the invasion stopped was because
Bugs.
the creatures were not adapted to the microbes in the water and in the air that we are.
Exactly.
Or like the movie Signs, where the first way to kill the alien invaders was to dump a bucket of water on them.
Yeah.
You would think a sophisticated alien race would not try to invade something that is full of fucking acid to them.
Yeah.
The redundancy behind it. If it was genuine ETs, now granted, there have been a couple reports of some ones that have been, they almost, the way it's being described, it's like the pilots are being outsmarted by fucking teenagers. But there have been a few rare occurrences that have come up since this balloon shit started that might be legit, because, but then again, they might just be fabricating these stories because they're paying attention to the social media and they're like, oh shit, oh, they're right, something. Well, we need. There was ones that we missed. There was ones the bullets went through, the missiles went through. Come on.
Look, and people will ask, what is this to do with George Orwell in 1984? I'll tell you today again, it's conditioning. Look at TikTok when that started in there. Everybody was making stuff up. It's like, what's that thing where you tell your next door neighbor, and then by the time it gets to the end of the street,
it's a game of telephone.
Game of telephone, right? That's what TikTok is, right? It's a distraction. There's been a lot of stuff come out in the news lately about Presidente in the United States and things lately that people are not even talking about. I mean, you look at that train wreck. Hardly anybody was talking about that, especially on TikTok. Everybody was going, "Oh, the aliens are coming for me! Take me away!" It's a balloon.
Granted, we can't necessarily blame them for wanting to get the hell out of here. One, but it's all the same. We have to take initiative upon ourselves and not rely on others to do the actions for us, no matter how terrible the circumstances may be, no matter whether or not you're going to be isolated from your families. I mean, like I said, I'm saying that because I know she watches the show. My mother caught a lot of flack for me calling out a family member because of the abuse that was coming forward. We had to say something because this younger relative of mine was mentioning suicide. Something had to be done. And there would have been several points where there would be photos posted of her on social media, just regular old photos, where all of a sudden baggy clothes.
Yeah.
And if you look carefully where it may have just been a shadow, it looked like there were bruises.
Yeah. Look, the world is a messed up place. And if we keep letting people like this away with it, especially governments, they'll just run right over the top of us. I mean, I know I'll get flack for this live. Right? I know I'll get flack for that. Folk will be like, "Oh, you don't want to annoy the government. They'll not be very happy with you. Look, they're going to come and get you anyway. They're giving you injections and stuff like that that's got to probably kill you, right? Do you know how many excess deaths there's been in the UK since that? There's an extra 3,000 nearly a week. And people will be like, "Oh, but there's bus crashes and other things." No, I'm talking about people that have actually had autopsies done on them, and they're died the exact same thing. There's an excess in nearly 4,000 a week in the UK. I know in my village there's loads of people dropping down. There was 2 today, by
Mhm.
chance. Strange. Like, this is all be planned, guys. Just be very careful, and please be very careful. And please try and stand up for your rights. And see when they come round to your door and they say, "Do you want a 15-minute city in your area?" Tell them to piss off. Right? Refuse to sign anything. Don't fall for it. See that banking system? That's going to happen. That can't be stopped now because in the UK a law's been passed. It cannot be stopped now.
They're slowly trying to work into implementation here in the US because, and let's face it, we already essentially have. I mean, for anybody who's traveled internationally or just outside of their state, I don't know if you got it over in the UK or not, just because of how things work over there. But over here in the US, I'll say I'm not too far from the Nevada line. Couple hours drive, I'll be down to where hookers are legal, weed's legal, and
We
I
all
can
know where he
go.
likes to go at the weekend, didn't we, gentlemen?
I'm not joking. Yeah, I can go down to Nevada where prostitution is actually legal and they get funded state health care.
Hmm.
They say, and if I want to use my credit card,
Mhm.
I would have to go in, let them know my travel plans. So naturally, they don't think that it's someone in another state trying to use my card. You know, identity theft measures are already in place that could be a precursor to exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just heightened restrictions. It does not take much. We are at the very infancy of everything conspiracy theorists have been trying to warn about for years.
Did you see that in Japan? It's Japan where the school students were paying for their meals by the face recognition. They just walk up and it scans their face and it pays everything.
Thank God they actually have somewhat healthy diets over there because the
Oh, they all eat
facial
fish and rice and stuff.
well, yeah, I mean facial recognition programs. I mean, let's look at the face recognition, Mr. iPhone, to unlock your phone.
What do you mean, Mr. Samsung?
No, I was like, does Samsung have the face recognition? Well,
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Well, anyway, no, I'm just saying, think about it. Every time you lose a little weight, you gain a little weight. You have to basically reset up your profile because it'll register you as a completely different person. It does not take much to necessarily throw it off. In fact, there's manuals you can get from the CIA that said, "Oh, just put on a pair of glasses; it'll throw it off."
You know, I got an update on my iPhone 12. I'll just say the iPhone 12 because then everybody will know what model I've got. They're all the same anyway. But I got an update about 6 months ago. And you know what? You know, it's actually quite good. See, if you've got a mask on, the face still unlocks the phone. But see, if you wear a mask, it'll unlock. But see, if you put like which is no like a right mask on, it'll no unlock. Only if you've got a surgical mask on, it'll unlock.
It
That's scary, how it ends.
It takes a lot of training in order for that to be implemented. I mean, let's go back a little further to when everybody was freaking out. Since you brought up TikTok, when governments were talking about banning TikTok because TikTok was brought out by a Chinese company, and there's stipulations within Chinese companies that they had to fork over information to their government at a whim.
Yeah.
That was where that concern came from. And there's been several lawsuits that actually came forward about TikTok collecting information on minors. And they're like, oh, it doesn't really, everybody's like, oh, it doesn't work that way. Oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Blah, 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 blah. How the hell do you think the fucking face effects work, people? It has to scan your face.
Yes. Yeah. Here's an interesting thing I learned the other day there. I didn't know this. See, when you go to like a website, that's when you go into a website and they ask you, it's like a grid, a photo with a grid, and it's got maybe you have to find the bus.
Yeah.
You find the bus. And I always wondered if what was that. It's maybe just checking to see if you're no like a robot, but it's no, it's something else. Is it not giving you permission? It's giving them permission to basically get into your system and have a look.
Actually,
What is that?
Hold on. The Capacho, I believe that's how it's pronounced. The Capacho warnings, anytime you say like you go to log into Facebook, you just at a computer sleep, just whatever, or you log into another website, you have those captchas warning pop up. What that does, if it automatically goes through, it scans the cookies that your browser collects to see if you're human. And if it sees that, okay, this is just some random person trying to get in, let him in. If it doesn't, and it brings up those pictures, that actually is a sign that it doesn't see you as human enough.
Yeah.
And secondly, Google has actually been using those as a way to get people to help its self-driving cars identify objects for free.
Yeah.
Being used as free labor. And this is another point that I've mentioned on the show a couple of times before. The reason why so much of this stuff has been able to be so freely implemented is because, once again, we're offered something good that we want if we do this just one little thing. Because like you do this, you'll get to access all this. You introduce the concept of social media, let people play about it however they want. They upload photos, videos, they add everyone who they know and love. Or that's what I mean. They tag everybody they know. They upload photos of their everyday life. I'll tell you this, police departments.
Yeah.
If you get called in, we'll stalk your Facebook. I can tell you this for certain.
It's just crazy. I mean, I've always wondered, how do the police get access to your phone if it's locked?
There's back ways to unlock it. I mean, it's got to go back where you mentioned, Amazon or Google devices.
Yeah.
The little at-home smart assistants. I mean, if you look in the background, you can probably see mine.
And mine's just, well, you can't see mine. It's just in the corner.
But I'll say this. There's been police departments that have tried to access records for certain devices that have been at crime scenes because they know how it works, to see if they could find any information that could lead to murders. Now, granted, if it helps catch a killer, I'd be willing to fork over in some information. Amazon said no.
Where you go?
No, I was just saying, Amazon shut it down. Apple shut down a few times where the FBI was requesting access to get into certain people's devices because they couldn't get in.
Well, do you know, during the pandemic here in the UK, I don't know if they did it where you did it, Google was that. See how you Google tracks you on the map? They were secretly tracking people. And if anybody went out within the certain... they were alerted.
It wasn't as bad, but yes, any tracking information, and mind you, even if you have your GPS option turned off on your phone, because let's face it, it kills your fucking battery. They still ping you off of cell phone towers. They still ping you off of Wi-Fi routers.
Yeah.
Local GPS, even Bluetooth-enabled devices.
Yeah, get GPS.
They can ping the information off of those. Even smart TVs nowadays, they can ping you off of those.
There's washing machines now that are smart, that will actually track you in your house. And look at the electricity smart meters that you get. They know what you like to use most. So if you like to watch a certain TV for a certain amount of time, it's scary how things are getting, guys. And George Orwell, if you've not read it or you've watched the film, please go and watch it or read the book. The audiobook's really good. You get it on YouTube, it's free. Just go in there and listen to it. Is that an earthquake there?
Close. So was my cat.
The cat. I'm telling you, I think I'm telling you, that's a special cat. It's the CIA's hired it to listen to you.
Oh, there was a conspiracy that started floating around that's saying that cats are biological spies for aliens.
But what about the guy that believes that birds are not real?
I don't.
As Mike the Naked Bigfoot would say, that's a story for another time.
Oh God, if we go to
Mike.
do a full episode on that, I'm going to have an aneurysm. They're like, "Oh, have you ever seen a baby pigeon?" Yes, I have.
I've seen baby birds in a nest.
I mean, the house I
Hey,
lived in
that's
before.
the CIA. That made you see that.
I mean, it's like the house I lived in before this one. Every summer, we had a carport that turned into an avian nursery.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, if these birds were actual spies, then something went wrong with one of the nests because 2 years in a row, we had to clean up dead birds that they just died all of a sudden one day. Then we realized they were born without eyes.
Ooh, gods.
So, mind you, obviously there comes a point in a bird's life where the mama bird just stops feeding them, expects them to go out on their own. How are they supposed to go out on their own if they can't fucking see?
So, changing the subject, what's planned for this week and next week, Dakota, if we're still alive as or no in federal prison?
Well, let's see here. Didn't you say that we were
on Sunday
looking
we've got
trying to get a certain somebody on for Sunday?
And Sunday we've got Nando and we've got Jenny on. We were on the show. Was it a couple of weeks ago? So we've got them coming on this Sunday. Coming. I've got obviously Ghost Squad Scotland here on Wednesday night, and it'll be through Bald and Bonkers Tay. We will be discussing Rosalind Chapel.
Ooh.
You should join us, Dakota, because it's actually quite interesting. Because it's you should see the photos that I've actually downloaded. I've got 40 or 50 in the section, but it's talking about Rosalind Chapel and how the Knights Templars, and it's not just that. There's weird, it's a computer taking pictures of the ceiling and actually made these weird tones that's meant to open portals to a different dimension.
I would love to be able to experiment with that. So that honestly does leave Saturday open, but
yeah, what we doing on Saturday if we're still here and not dead?
Don't know yet, but I know that we actually do kind of set this out a week later to all of our other platforms.
Right.
But don't we also have another appearance coming up very soon?
Do we?
Do we?
Do we?
You're the one that set it up.
Really? Who?
Who was it? They're gonna be insulted that you forgot them, man.
Is it a woman or a man?
It was a woman and a woman, unless there's something.
Oh no, right, that's right. We've got Druna from Drew's Paranormal Vlog and My Mystical World and Light. I think that's what I said it right this time.
Mystical Love and Light. My Mystical World that's Lisa.
Oh, sorry. I'm just blame him. They'll not hear it anyway because that'll be next week. Anyway, we've got
but for the people who watch us on the live taping, so to speak, you can check us out there or check out the replay if you're a week later and get disappointed, but we have other ways. Yeah, if we're still here, if the world hasn't gone to hell or we don't end up in some sort of federal prisons.
And don't worry, though. After the nuclear apocalypse, the only thing that will work will be a book.
Yeah, and let's just face it, some of these kids nowadays,
oh my god,
they're like, what's a book?
What's a book? I seen a book once in a library. Kid actually says to me, I don't go to the library, that's for old people.
Okay. And this, I know there's this one guy on TikTok. I had to look him up. He's a teacher over here, and he does like little videos with his class, obviously off camera. But one of his kids in his class And I got pissed because this guy is about the same age as me, despite my rugged to good looks. I'm only 27.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, anything over 20 years." One of these kids said, "Anything over 20 years old is vintage. So you're vintage."
Aye.
Fuck you.
But you can't really identify him as a man now because you're not really allowed to use that. So everybody's there's 150,000 different identifications to a human now.
Oh, look,
Did you hear about how they're wanting to rewrite Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because they say people were racist towards Oompa Loompas?
they're wanting to rewrite James Bond books.
I know, but they say that we're racist towards the Oompa Loompas. I mean, if there was real Oompa Loompas, I could see their point. But Oompa Loompas don't exist, people. Oompa, Oompa, Oompity dee.
Well, they do say there's actually a race of Hobbit people that was found not too long ago.
Really? Are they still alive?
Rumored, yes.
Do they like eating chocolate?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I know Sasquatch likes eating chocolate, but that's a story for another time.
That's a story for another time, as Mike would say. Raise your glasses, you know.
Yeah, raise your glasses, Mike. We miss you.
Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I wonder what he would think about this. Or what's happening now.
Well, he's probably thinking, "Well, I'm dead. I don't have to worry about it."
That's very true. That's very true. But anyway, Dakota, what have you got anything planned this week? Are you doing any gaming shows? Or...
Probably because I have a gaming addiction, but
yes. Oh, yeah, Ken, you've got a cheat day saying that I play GTA too much.
Hey, you're the one that is playing GTA all the time. I can't get my fucking disc to work.
Yeah, see, that's what he says. He just doesn't want to come in because I'm a high up level and he's afraid that, you know.
No.
You know? But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you on the other side. We'll visit you in your sleep.
Hopefully, I was about to say, hopefully not in such a literal sense just yet. But like I said, if we disappear under mysterious circumstances, you know what happens.